too close to my mouth or no?
No, I think that's good. I can hear you good.
Right.
So speaking of chaos, dude. So you're born and raised Ukraine.
Right.
What's going on with that place? Is it, it seems very chill. Is it a good vacation destination right now, or what do you think?
Bro,
would you hold off?
Beautiful. Because normally you go to vacation and it's like, what you do, you just go to the beach.
Right.
And it's boring. Like you get a book maybe and it's, the book is the book. But if you go to Ukraine,
you're going to live the book.
Every day, and every day is different. There's
What's the day-to-day life like? You still have friends, family over there?
Yeah. My family is there. Everybody except for my brother, who's in London. But he's been in London for a long time.
Is it easy to get out of the country right now?
If you're a man, impossible.
Really?
As far
so
as
if you stayed up until the war started, you would probably be stuck there.
Yeah, unless you have a reason to leave, like you're over 60, I think, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
What if you hurt your ankle or something like that? If they're still gonna use you?
Yeah,
they'll throw you at the front of the line.
Fine, yeah. Just don't fucking do it.
That's crazy, dude. So do you think about how lucky you were? So you moved here in what, 2016?
Yeah, end of 2016.
And all this shit. You said it's kind of been going down there for a while.
Yeah. I mean, 2016 is when it started, but it was very low key. It was just on the east side of Ukraine, and it wasn't as public. Americans still didn't know what Ukraine was or where it was.
Right. Still, probably a lot of us don't.
They're like, oh, they're at war. It's terrible. No, but yeah, in 2022, that was the full-scale invasion. That's when Russia no longer was denying partaking in the war. And yeah.
Then they were just like, all right, yeah, this is happening.
Just fucking tanks moved in, like the bombs. And like literally, I did get a message. So I do like stand-up and shit like that. And there's a joke that a lot of people think it's a joke, but I did get a message from my mom, and it was just literally said at 5 a.m., 5 in the morning, it said like, son, they're bombing Kiev, the war started.
Really?
And I planned to go like that morning. Why I was up at 5 a.m. because I was planning to go on the ski trip to like snowboard. Where? Hunter.
Okay.
Just went to Hunter.
Hunter? Where's that?
Hunter Mountain. It's like an hour away.
What state? It's in New York?
Yeah. Okay. Technically is.
Cool.
But yeah, no, I mean, point is that it is insane and crazy and like, I don't know.
So your mom texts you, and what does she want? Does she want you to like come back and like help? How close are they to Kiev?
130 kilometers from Kiev, which makes it, I guess like 70 miles.
70?
Again, people are going to see this and think that I'm dumb because
no, it can't possibly be more dumb than we are.
130 kilometers.
130 kilometers. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Yeah. But it's so not that far, basically.
Yes, not super far.
So would you go to Kiev? Was Kiev like a cool spot that people would like hang out at?
If not for the war?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in Kiev for 10 years before moving here. It was a pretty cool spot. You go chill, beautiful women, affordable food. Food is beautiful, amazing. You eat a tomato and it tastes like a fucking Snickers bar. Isn't in terms of flavor.
Right.
Yeah, it's very flavorful.
That's what people say when they come to the U.S. Like none of the flavors match what they were like South America and stuff. All the vegetables, fruit, all the stuff they have is much more, I don't know, flavorful, less processed, maybe less all the bullshit that we put in it.
And it's just like organic flavor. Like when I say Ukraine, a lot of people say, "Oh, veselka," and I'm like, "No, not veselka," because veselka
is not.
Veselka is a Ukrainian restaurant that is very, I guess, popular.
Oh, here
in Manhattan.
Oh, okay, I've seen that. I've seen like lines down the street for that place.
Yeah, but it's
is that pretty authentic? Have you been there?
I have. I don't think it's authentic. Because
frauds.
you try borscht.
Frauds.
You know borscht?
Borscht is amazing. I've had it once. That's Ukrainian?
Yeah.
Damn, dude. We gotta preserve that country, man, just for the borscht.
And it's amazing. Yeah, I mean,
borscht is so good.
Please, I guess.
If nothing else, just the borscht. Damn, dude. That's wild. So they start. Why Kiev? Why do they want Kiev? They want the borscht?
Honestly, the Russians, I don't know. They're just fucking animals. I don't even know what they want. They just want to like destroy because I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Honestly, where to begin
Well,
describing.
they're just so much more powerful than you guys are, right? It would be like if we tried to take over, I don't know, whoever's like like Panama or something like that.
They're just like bigger and more territories.
Right, so we could just
and
take
more wealth.
just because they can. That's why they want to take it, basically.
Well, I mean, there's many reasons, I guess. One of them is that they don't want the Western warheads to be located on the Ukrainian territory.
Right.
That's as far as I know.
Right.
So they want to, and they can't allow Ukraine to join NATO because that would make the alliance too close to the Russian borders.
Because they want to be able to keep attacking them if they want, and they know if they join NATO, if they attack them, then they get attacked back.
Well, yeah, it's all about your time to react to a nuclear warhead. If the nuclear warhead is launched, like if you have 5 seconds to react, that's one thing, versus if it's launched, say, from Virginia, then it's like a few hours.
Yeah.
So it's like when the Soviet Union wanted to place their warheads in Cuba. I think in the 70s or I don't know when.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a similar situation, just reversed.
With Castro, right?
Yeah,
Castro. That's all I know about that. Crazy, dude. So Putin is not a well-liked guy in Ukraine. People don't have Putin posters on their wall.
No, but I think if they had guns, they would shoot. I think pretty much everybody would probably just shoot Putin.
Yeah, I
Even
would
if
assume.
you think, would I ever have it in me to kill a human being?
Yeah, for that you probably would.
Yeah, and then you imagine Putin, and they're like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you could, then you save so many Ukrainians.
Yeah, and you just
could you not?
You just imagine all of the terrors and horrors. Just this last Sunday, it was the gathering people gathered for Easter. In Ukraine at the church.
Yeah.
And then 37 civilians got killed by the missile.
That's what they're doing, just all missiles, or is it
drones, missiles? Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much. And I mean, obviously on the eastern side, it's you can actually, I guess, you get a gun and there you go shoot people.
Yeah.
On the east side.
Jesus, dude. So they want every capable man over there. They're like, yeah, you're in.
Yeah.
You gotta get in.
You get groceries. You go get groceries. They just they're like, how's it? I don't think they ask how's it going, but they do put you in the van and then just take you to.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
That they're forcing people to do it, even if they don't want to.
Oh yeah,
you don't have a choice.
Not a lot of people do want to
Yeah, I guess nobody's signing up, huh?
I mean, some people do. Some people signed up. And to be honest, when it all started, I was thinking, well, should I go there? But then I was like, nah, I'm not a fucking idiot. I should not.
Yeah, why? I mean, I guess if you had like that,
it's a psychological thing, It's like
you want to protect your homeland.
Yeah, it's like your base. I don't know how to describe this.
Right. So, are there places in Ukraine that are like safe that people can go to, or no? Everything's fair play. Like everything could possibly get fucked up at any minute.
No, there's safer places, of course. Like Kiev is not very safe. Where my parents are, it's safer, but they're constantly hearing the missiles flying. They get alerts like middle of the night, multiple times a night. And they,
And what do? They just go about their day. People still just go to work. Like they go to work in an office.
Yeah.
And there's just bombs going off.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they go home.
Yeah, they go home and they're like, all right, and I'm going to watch fucking Love is Blind until...
They do the normal shit that we do here.
Yeah, because what are you going to do? What else is left?
It's so crazy. It doesn't seem real. But I guess it is. And for you, obviously, it does. That's why it's so interesting to meet people from there, because it just seems so do you find that people here seem out of touch with it, or do you think people what's your take on how Americans are handle it or know about it or are educated about it?
Well, I mean, obviously from people that I meet, they know about the war. Do they care as much as the Ukrainians? Obviously not, which I think is it is a natural response if you think about it. Like, since it's not in your home, it's not close to you, it's not as dangerous to you as to other people. Like, you don't just naturally, you're like, yeah, that's terrible. People are dying. That should not be happening.
Right.
If it were up to me, I would not be doing this because I'm a good person.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean,
try not to get distracted by those abs there. My roommate just walked through with his. He doesn't have abs. I'm joking. Yeah, he's getting there. He's trying to get back in shape, but no. So that's so yeah. We just basically don't get it. Is it weird how it became almost like a bipartisan issue in the U.S.? Was it weird to watch that happen? How it became like a left versus right thing here, and why it was like that?
Yeah, dude, it was super weird because, obviously...
There's no rhyme or reason. It's just like somebody picks a side and then everybody lines up on that side. And then somebody's like, no, we should help them, line up on this side, we shouldn't help them. And then somehow it just ends up being Republican, Democrat.
It was insane because in the beginning, obviously, Russia is a very clear antagonist.
Right.
And then a couple of weeks ago, I watched this like news post when the American representative is like waiting for Putin. Like he went to meet with Putin.
Yeah.
And he's waiting for him. He's like getting ready, like
he has to impress him.
Yeah. Then Putin comes out. He's like, shaking his hand. It's like Putin is the hero now.
Right. Like, so happy to meet you.
And it's just insane. And then makes you think, okay, so what is what is the power? The power is just against the brute force in the world. Like,
if you do it long enough, you can kind of convince people that you were in the right. Because I've heard it from other angles that they were like antagonized or they were like baited into it. And then I've also heard that like giving the Ukraine money, funding the Ukraine is only killing more Ukraine. It's basically encouraging them to like win an unwinnable fight. And had they just had what's his name, Zelensky, just made a deal, like you're beat, just make a deal, then a lot less people would have died. Is that fair to say? Yeah,
I mean, it is fair to say, and in the beginning it was also fair to say, and yet Ukraine was encouraged, and it was making me mad for the longest time how much people are just encouraging Ukrainians to go die.
Because it's not us. We pretend to be like rooting for them, but
it's a story. It's like very clear antagonist, very clear protagonist. We want protagonist to win, especially because the protagonist seems so much smaller and like weaker.
The underdog. We like the underdog. Yeah.
It's like the what's the biblical story?
David versus Goliath.
Yes, that one.
It's the one I know. Thank God.
So I mean, obviously, the war is a terrible, terrible thing, and I could not think that it can happen in my lifetime, and then it just happened. And it kind of changes your perspective at things because you're like, okay, what's next? Aliens gonna come, and then like fucking 5 years later after that, we're gonna be like, yeah, there's just aliens, and it's totally normal.
It's normal. It becomes very normal very quick, right? If something just keeps going for a while, it just eventually is like, yeah, this is just how it is. Well, I'm glad you made it out. So what made you come to the U.S.? Was this a popular destination for people even back before it was war torn?
Yeah, it was kind of a lot of people in my circles wanted to move to the U.S. I also, since I worked in tech, I had a lot of like Western clients, very influenced by the Western media, movies, shows, Home Alone. We've been watching it since I was 6, that sort of stuff.
Do you have a different name for movies? I know in like Colombia they call it like Sweet Little Angel or something like they have all our movies, but they have their own titles to them, and it's like somebody watched them over there and then renamed them.
Yeah,
but that's the title they grew up with. So I've known a lot of people from like South America, and they've watched that movie and been like, oh, this movie, and it's honestly like some weird stupid name that they just took the movie and renamed. I'm like, that's not even like grasping the whole message of the movie here is naming it some stupid other shit.
I think that shows how much a language can influence the thinking, the mindset, the culture.
Right.
We have that. Like some of the movies are named differently, but Home Alone specifically, no, it's just Один Vdoma, which means exactly Home Alone.
Good. So you guys do it right. Because it's like if you're gonna take the movie from another
original,
country, just take because like you could translate it in Spanish to whatever Solo Casa. Right? Home Alone. You don't know Spanish?
But I mean, Solo sounds like Solo. Which, like Han Solo.
Yeah, maybe they just don't like the names. But yeah, I don't know. The Spanish always have to put an extra twist on things, you know? So you came over here. And you knew English before you came over here, or you just had to figure it all out when you got here?
I spoke some English, but not as good as I speak. Obviously, my English is perfect now, but like
it was good.
That's fine.
Chicks dig an accent, right? Am I wrong in saying that?
I guess, yeah. It's like it's something that gets them curious, at least to ask more questions.
How many people think you're Russian? And is that insulting?
Well, probably I mean, like, you know, I'm used to it.
Is that an awkward comment? People must feel bad after they do it. They're like, oh, you're Russian, and then you say Ukrainian, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I guess that's entertaining to me at this point.
Right.
Because I'm used to it. I was somewhat offended when I first moved because the war was still kind of beginning on the eastern side in 2016. So I'd be like, I'd have to say, no, Ukraine, like different countries were fighting, like there's a conflict going on. But obviously at this point, it's like,
what can you do?
It's like same thing as, you know, back in Ukraine, we didn't know much about like fucking Guatemala or somewhere which was just far geographically. Right. So same way Americans don't know about Ukraine as much, except for the war.
Right.
But since it's geographically, it's like the psychology, the nature of we care about what's closer to us.
The dialects are very different, Ukrainian and Russian, or do
30% overlaps, or like English and Dutch.
Okay. So would you be able to communicate? Can Ukrainians and Russians communicate with each other?
Yes, but mostly because Ukrainians speak Russian really well, and Russians don't really speak Ukrainians.
Yeah, I guess they don't have to.
Yeah. So yeah, if we're talking about speaking Russian, then yes. But
you speak Russian?
Yeah, I speak both.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I feel like you guys can all speak multiple languages. And I'm envious of that.
Well, you know, just move to another country, and
then you have to. You have no choice. But yeah, the accent. What kind of accent do you like on women? Do you like the American accent? And can you tell different parts of America? Like, can you tell when somebody's from the South?
Yeah.
Or when somebody's from Boston? You know, the Boston accent.
The Boston accent. Yeah. I can tell. I think I can tell. Yeah, but like if it's really pronounced, then I can tell. Like Southern Boston, I guess I can tell Boston. Mm-hmm. New York, I can tell New York.
Yeah, it's pretty harsh, right?
Yeah, coffee or whatever.
Yeah. What kind of accent do you like on a female? Or I guess in general, what kind of females have you been interested in? What have you found here? Are they different from Ukrainian? What's the deal with the dating scene here?
I mean, Ukrainians are the most attractive to me.
Really?
Yeah, just, I don't know, maybe because they all look like my mom.
Yeah.
That's attractive. Probably.
Yeah, some weird psychological trick. That's interesting because I've found myself like very not into, I mean, not that I'm opposed to it, but I just find like anything that's different than me, I'm more attracted to.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That is a good point. But at the same time, if a woman is hot, it's like it's hard.
She's just hot, yeah.
She might look exactly like me and sound exactly like me.
Right, it really doesn't matter.
If she's hot, then I'm like...
That could be true. I guess, yeah, I guess if I'm going to settle down with somebody, it would have to be somebody who's like culturally fairly similar, I guess.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get along.
I mean, in the beginning, like, you know, the differences make a good conversation, make a good learning experience, all of that stuff. But eventually, I think you want to... See, here's the thing. I think in my case, I do miss, like, being Ukrainian.
Yeah.
I miss, there are certain parts of the culture that I miss. Even the language, which is I enjoy speaking the combination of Russian and Ukrainian, which we call surzik.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a low status language in Ukraine.
It was fun.
And that's what I was raised with.
Yeah.
And I find it funny, endearing, close to home, close to my childhood.
Right.
And there's only so many women I can speak that with.
Right. So if they can speak that, you can really connect on like a whole different level.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Russians, I can't really speak that with. Americans, obviously not.
Right.
But yeah, Ukrainians, and even some Ukrainians, not so somebody who was like born and raised in Kiev, for example, probably
wouldn't know it.
She would be like, "Oh, what are you?" A fucking
Yeah. So it's very specific. So it seems like you have it narrowed down to like 10 women that you can be with.
Yeah, 10 women, man, and they're all.
Or you find a chick who's willing to learn that language for you.
Probably not. Probably, yeah.
That would take some dedication.
10 women it is.
But hey, I mean, you know what you like, and yeah, I guess I get that. When you're from a certain area, you meet somebody. I mean, most of my friends out here are definitely like Boston people, and it's not even like intentional. But then you just look around, and I'm like, oh shit, most of my close friends out here are all from my specific kind of semi-specific area.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just kind of happens that way, I guess.
Because we're also old, you know. If we were like 21,
yeah,
it would have been different, I think.
Right.
The older I become, the more important that aspect becomes to me.
The being like home,
yeah,
home and connected culturally.
Yeah.
I get that. That's interesting, dude. So when did you? It is crazy to come here to America and then also be like, oh, I want to get into the arts and stuff like that, because you would think when you first get here you're probably just in survival mode and you just want to, like, that's enough stimulation, but then eventually you figure that out and you're like, okay, now I can start doing some fun stuff.
What's next is the never-ending search for something else. It's crazy, it's exhausting. And
when did you get into comedy, and how did you did Zelensky inspire you? Was he a good comic?
I personally didn't really like his sense of humor and comedy, but I didn't like. It was strange because I didn't like the Eastern European humor in general as much. It was very, I guess, what's the right word? Like it wasn't as open. Like people weren't able to talk openly about things as much as here. I don't know. I never really liked that kind of stuff.
So it was more narrow, like, I don't know, maybe surface level, like less offensive, less like personal.
Yeah.
And more just like generic things that we all could, like, I guess, who would you compare it to here? Like, I don't know. Just
politically even, or... hard even to explain. There's movies and comedic, all the media that like Russian movies, Ukrainian movies that are comedy movies, but I never found them to be funny. And my dad would always like kind of force me to watch because he liked it. He'd be like, all right, stop playing on the computer, come watch this movie, and I'd be like, fuck.
Yeah.
And I hated that movie.
It's just not that. Yeah, I guess it's like old timey humor or something, or. Yeah, maybe clean. Maybe it's too clean. Or just
maybe too
not edgy,
clean.
not ruffling enough feathers. I guess I kind of.
Oh, what might they be? We have this very rich language just for cursing in Ukrainian Russian, and you could never hear that on the TV because it's like it's not just fuck, cunt, and all those things. Mm-hmm. There's like 100 words for just cunt or something. A lot of those things, and they go really like deep into the affecting people. Like you can't let your kids hear that shit.
Yeah.
So we don't have that. Maybe that's I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably what it's missing. It's missing that like authenticity or like stuff you would say with your friends. It's like they can't scratch that, or they can't get to that level. So when you came here, were you like, okay, this is the kind of humor I like, but it's in a different language? So
I like the humor like ever since I watched the movies like when I was a kid, and then when I learned English like 15 years ago. I think I started learning it, and I got into it for the reasons of being able to like read books by what the author intended, the story, not translated version, but the actual like the original thought that the author wanted to relay. And same for the movies. And I don't know, I kind of liked it. It was funny to me.
What was your the funniest movies that you remember? Were you like an Adam Sandler guy, Jim Carrey?
I like Ben Stiller a lot. Not as much Adam Sandler's fan. The Heartbreak Kid, I think, is the funniest shit.
Oh, that is pretty funny. Yeah. Ben Stiller?
Yeah. But like nobody likes that movie. Well, except, especially women. They watch that and they're like, yeah.
Yeah, they don't totally
they're like,
get into. That's not with where they're playing. That's not the one they're playing basketball in with what's his name? Who's the guy that died? Fat guy that
No. I think you're talking about Along Came Polly.
Along Came Polly is what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, no, it's not that. It's about how he gets married to the wrong woman, and she turns out to be very different from him.
Yeah. I gotta rewatch that one.
Yeah.
There's so many good, funny movies that like you watch at the time, you're like, oh, that's funny, but then you go back and watch it, you're like, oh shit, there's so many good jokes in it throughout that you're like, yeah. I don't know that they may. What's the most recent one that you've seen that's been good? I don't know if they have any that are like really killer lately. Did you see? Were you like Wedding Crashers guy? I mean, that's probably 15 years ago now too.
Yeah, it's
super bad.
I am the Office kind of guy. You know The Office.
Yeah, Office is great.
Yeah. You heard of The Office?
No, what is this?
A new show came out.
It's a Ukrainian show.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything over there that we've adopted?
Yes, we do. In fact,
what do you guys?
Christmas Carol song, "Carol of the Bells."
Really, that's Ukrainian.
That's Ukrainian.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I love that.
That's the one thing we've taken from you guys.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful. Who's the most beautiful woman in Ukraine? Or who's the most like famous? I guess Zelensky is going to be tough to top, but who's? Although Ukraine, how long has it been a country for? Not that long, right?
Since 1991.
Yeah, that's tough. You guys just started.
Yeah, pretty much. It's very fresh, but you guys already heard about it, so
yeah, it got pretty popular. It got pretty popular pretty fast.
Yeah, Instagram, all that.
They had a good PR team.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What's with the do they say there's like white supremacists over there? Is that it? Have you ever heard that? And that there's like Nazis over there? Maybe that's just people here
like
trying
Nazis,
to justify.
As in like national, like Ukrainians?
I guess something that they're
like racial.
Something that they're like corrupt over there. I remember because like everyone was empathizing with Ukraine, and people were like, "Well, look at like this is what people used to say about the Ukraine before they went to war." And what is do you know any of that stuff? Is that any of that accurate? I guess they could say that about the United States. They could say a lot of bad things about the United States too.
Are you talking about like racial discrimination or
maybe
like national?
I guess I've just heard different things. Yeah, I don't know. Is there any? Did you notice any of that? Or I guess it's just probably national pride, right?
I mean, yeah, that's definitely a big thing in Ukraine. Like we've always been kind of against, especially like being next to Russia. Like you gotta be that if you want to be your own country.
You're just like, hey, no Russians in here.
Honestly, I think Russia made us like rebellious.
Yeah. So they were just like don't let other people in. We got
history.
Our own thing.
Yeah. Have you heard of Cossacks? You know Cossacks, the Ukrainian like rebellious warriors in the 1800s. It was like a formation, and it's like it's symbolic to the Ukrainian rebellious spirit at this point.
Yeah. What were they before Ukraine? Soviet?
Yes, Soviet Union.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And they would I feel like when they were in the Olympics, were they the Ukraine in the Olympics?
What year?
I don't know. I feel like I remember that, but I guess I wouldn't if they were in 91.
After 1991, probably yes.
Where's Oksana Bayul from? Is she Russian?
Who's that?
I think she was like a famous figure skater, maybe. I'm just throwing out random random names at this point that
She
might not have
sounds-
any relation to Ukraine at all.
Dude, we can talk about all kinds of things.
I'm just taking you in all different directions. Just as questions come to me, I'm throwing them out there.
Trying to.
So when did you start doing comedy, and what was the first place you did it?
So I guess acting was the first medium where I started applying comedy and kind of my comedic muscles. Which was like 6 years ago. Then I got into sketch comedy, did some plays and little short films, comedic sketches. Then I started doing improv, which was like.
Had you done any of that before, or this was the first time you'd done any of that?
No, I haven't been doing improv. Like improv, I started doing here. I did some acting back in Ukraine, but improv is not really a big thing in Ukraine. Which, to be honest, I'm hoping after the war, maybe I'll be able to bring some to Ukraine. That'd be fun.
That'd be awesome. You hope to go back there?
Yeah. I mean, I miss it. I do want to go back, but we'll see what happens. And because it's just
probably more likely to find that lady you're looking for over there. Odds are pretty higher that they'll be able to speak that language over there than over here.
But that's all they'd be able to speak is the thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Whatever. That's interesting. So you became a where was the first place you did stand up? Do you remember?
Yeah, Producers Club.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Oh shit!
And I just went there for like an improv class, and the guy who was teaching the improv class, he was also hosting a mic, and I was the only person who came to the fucking improv class. Nobody else showed up. So he's like, "There's no improv class, but I will host a mic if you just want to do an open mic instead."
Yeah.
And I didn't have any jokes, but I was like, "All right, it's kind of I'm gonna go improvise the open mic."
Yeah.
So I did that, and that was my first.
How many people were there?
Like 5 people in the audience.
Yeah.
I guess.
Damn, dude, that takes balls. And at that point, you knew the language good enough, or you knew it? You were like, whatever, I'll figure it out up there.
I mean, I was an improviser, so like I knew enough to pull something together, and I just talked about a time when I was high and I saw some funny videos on Instagram, and I talked about a flying squirrel, like just some random things.
Just throwing words out there, hoping something's funny.
Yeah. And I did, like, a couple of those things landed, but the crowd was also very supportive because the host said that it was my first time doing an open mic. So I was lucky to have the first experience to be positive, more or less.
Yeah.
I think that was a big part of why I continued.
I feel like a lot of people that I've seen that speak a different language are pretty funny, or they have like a grasp of the language and humor like pretty quickly because they see it from like a different angle than we see it. Like they see all the things that we do and all the weird like language things that we had that we're just accustomed to. But I'm trying to think. There's a guy from it's like a Brazilian guy that's pretty famous that I've seen do, and it's just like the weird things that like in his language it would mean this, but in this language it means this, and I don't know. I feel like it's impressive when you guys can do that, and I guess it's just endless stuff for you to do because there's so many weird, stupid things that we have in our language that are when you learn them, you're just like, oh, this is stupid.
Dude, and everybody can do that. Like when I hear comics say, oh, like I don't know what material where I should find material. Like if you start learning a new language, that would immediately give you so much more material.
You think so?
Because of all those differences, and one thing means something, cock and all of that.
Right. Especially in Spanish or in different languages, how they have like the feminine and masculine terms, and you're like, why is a chair feminine? Like, what makes a chair feminine and a door masculine or something? Like, who thought that was the right thing to do? And how torn they were or not even know if they were torn, but like when the whole trans thing became a thing, and they were like, oh, you can't use pronouns. Like their entire language is based on masculine and feminine. So it's like, are they going to change their whole fucking language now?
Yeah, in Ukraine, every object has a gender.
Really?
Also,
it's so funny. It's so silly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess if we went there, we'd be like, "What the hell are you guys doing?"
Yeah, a couch is a she. A blanket is a it.
That's so stupid.
But
I guess it just is what it is.
Yeah.
We don't know who is the ones coming up with it.
Yeah, there's no like reasoning. You just have to memorize it.
Yeah. It's
every
so
word
silly.
you have, you just have to apply a gender to it.
Right.
And it's just somebody came up with it.
It's crazy because I remember in school we were learning Spanish, and that was like the whole thing, was knowing whether things are masculine or feminine. It's like, okay, why don't we just learn some word? Like, why don't we learn some things we can talk about rather than just knowing? We knew like everything was la or el, but it's like, okay, but we don't know how to use those in a sentence at all.
Is that how it is? L?
L is masculine, la is feminine.
But, I see.
Yeah,
like
I've spent some time in Miami. You ever been to Miami?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all Spanish speaking there. But yeah, I don't know, dude. It's wild. So you like New York? You think you're gonna stay in New York for a while, or what's your plan?
I like New York. I don't have like a big plan because I'm like it's really hard to say. Like every morning I wake up, I check the news, and there's something different on the news. And one morning I'm like, all right, I'm getting deported. Another morning I'm like, all right, I might stay here for a few months. And the next morning I'm like, all right, maybe I'll get deported after all. So I'm used to the turbulence of.
You just gotta ride it out.
Yeah,
New York's a good place to at least hide out at because there's just so many people. I feel like you can blend in.
Yeah,
for a little while.
Yeah, it's more accepting of like other cultures.
Stop doing podcasts.
That's always good.
You know, stop getting your name out there. But no, that's New York's a good place to.
I love New York
to be at, and yeah, that's just an added level of chaos that you have in your life that most people don't have. I guess it's more humor for you.
Makes it more interesting. Definitely gives me material for stand-up. And just, I guess, I mean, life is experience.
Yeah.
So might as well have it.
Yeah, you're going to have a good story to tell.
Yeah.
It would be insane if they started sending Ukrainians back to Ukraine.
Oh, they have.
Really?
They canceled the protection status for Ukrainians, as far as I know.
They're like, oh, it's safe now. Go ahead back.
I haven't checked this morning, but like, I don't know. That was the last thing I checked.
Dude. I wonder what's got to be happening to your country for it to be not a safe place.
I don't know if they care about like a safe place versus a non-safe place. It's just political games at this point. You know, like Trump is doing what he has to do to like keep in power and like keep his supporters like him. I don't know. It's like I haven't really been a political guy up until the war, and
then you kind of have to be.
Then you have to be, and I started getting into it, like learning about all the historical agreements and all those declarations and all that stuff. But yeah, there's just so much to it. There's so many little things and reasons, but it still fascinates me that there's an open, full-scale war going on. And everybody's just like,
Yeah, what can you do?
Yeah. What can you possibly do?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, people will protest and shit, like, when it's hot and, like, cool early on. People are out in the streets protesting, and then it just keeps going, and people honestly get tired. I guess they get tired of it, or they just it just becomes no longer trend. You know, like, that war is no longer, like, trendy to people here, so nobody...
But just not even that part. It's just the part of like how long before people think, oh, so it's just the power of the strongest. That's how the world works.
Right.
So then why won't I just go to my neighbor's house, knock out
take
his
it over.
windows,
Yeah,
and take whatever. Yeah. Like how long does it take for people to think that way?
Right.
And that is just not right. Like this is not...
Yeah, society's not that far from just falling apart at
it's just all fucking animals, it turns out.
Yeah, it's gonna be chaos, but whatever. We'll be here. It'll become normal so fast, you know. once people start doing that, we'll just be like, oh,
Yeah.
all right.
We just like
Guess we'll go do stand up.
regressing
tonight.
as a species.
Guess we'll go do an open mic about it. That's all there is.
Yeah, the open mics are the funniest place you can think of.
Yeah, because it's like hell, and it's like depressing, but it's also fun. If you don't look at it as like depressing, then it's not bad. But it's also like, yeah, if you're gaining something from it, it's like, why not?
The first time I did an open mic, there was this guy, Italian guy, and he was entirely insane. He was crazy. He was just yelling from the stage. He was like kind of
you always find some mentally ill people because it's like a level of mental illness that you're like, okay, that's normal, and then there's always a few at every mic that you're like, oh, this is not good.
But every time you experience it, you become more tolerant.
Yeah.
So that becomes more and more norm to you.
Yeah. Which in society is not that normal, but if you do enough open mics, you're like, oh, this is normal behavior.
Yeah, and then you kind of become that slowly.
Yeah. I think it's happening.
Yeah.
But whatever. All we can do is fight the good fight. Well, thanks for coming out, dude. I appreciate it. And yeah, super interesting.